Okay, so a couple days ago, I watched Godzilla 6. That's Invasion of Astro-Monster. And I remember when I watched Mothra vs. Godzilla, I was like, this is easily the second best movie so far. Then I saw Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monsters, and this is easily the second best movie so far. It's better than that. I'm not as sure with Invasion of Astro-Monster. There's a part of me that says this is easily the second best movie again, but there's another part of me that's like, there's aspects of Three-Headed Monster that I liked more than Astro-Monster, but there's parts of Astro-Monster I liked more than Three-Headed Monster. So right now there's an actual competition for second place with Gogeta still at the top. And I'm not including any other Godzilla movies that I have seen, not part of the marathon. So like, I'm not including, I feel like I've said this a few times as well. It's been a while since I've done a Godzilla video. Like, I'm not including any of the MonsterVerse movies yet, because I haven't technically gotten to them, even though I've fucking seen them all. I'm not including Shin Godzilla, and I'm not including Final Wars or like GMK. But anyways, of the first 6, this is either number 2 or number 3. What sets this movie apart from pretty much any other Godzilla movie, I feel like this could genuinely be retooled into like a really interesting sci-fi movie. Like, I remember when I was talking about Alan Wake, I was like, this feels like I'm playing an episode of The Twilight Zone. I've heard it described as such, and I think that's kind of accurate. This reminds me of an episode of The Twilight Zone. It reminds me of To Serve Man. And like, yeah, if you retooled some of this, this could be like this really interesting drama. You could also tool this into a horror movie, which I feel like the original film is a horror movie. This is the only other movie I could see working as such. In its current state, not quite, but it could. So the actual plot of this movie is there's these 2 pilots that are in a spacecraft, and they find Planet X, and they want to go explore it. But it turns out there are already people on Planet X. So it's spelled like Xiliens. It's basically aliens, but an X and then an I. So I think it's the Zillions is how you pronounce it. That's how I will be saying it. Might totally be wrong. But so the Zillions live on Planet X and are this highly advanced civilization, but they're under attack by a monster. And they refer to it as Monster Zero. It's King Ghidorah. But even if it's not a kaiju, you just say they're under attack from some kind of monster that they are unable to repel. As advanced as they are, they're not really that strong in firepower. So they make a deal with the Earthlings. You are a race that's very good at like war and violence and shit, and we're super advanced and like really good with medicine. How about an exchange of resources? You give us like a lot of your supreme firepower, and we will give you a cure for cancer. So they agree to that, and they take some of their firepower, which you could make that guns, you could make that nukes, you could do something like that if you wanted to retool it into something else. And here it's Goji and Rodan, and the fucking scene when they take Godzilla and he's just like sitting in the fetal position with like his tail between his legs, like right by his head, is one of the funniest images in any Godzilla movie so far. He looked so goofy, and like Rodan's in this like wing cocoon, and the wing cocoon I think looks like pretty neat, but Godzilla looks so funny in this scene. Godzilla is fucking hilarious in this movie. He's barely in it because it's a Godzilla movie. But when he is, he's so good in this. Anyways, there's an exchange of resources. They are able to fight off Monster Zero. I'll talk about the monster fight in a little bit, so pin in that. They fight off Monster Zero. The pilots return home with the cure for cancer. And it's on like a videotape, or actually not a videotape, it's an audio recording. It's like, this is like all the information about the cure is on here. So as they play the tape's like, ha, fooled you. Yeah, Monster Zero was always under our control. We just did this so you would give us more firepower. Thanks for giving us, like, hey, the one thing that could, like, stop us from conquering you was, I guess, the 2 things were Rodan and Gojira. Thanks for giving them to us for free, dipshits. Now we're going to conquer your planet. You are ours. There's nothing you can do about it. You've got 24 hours to comply, and if you don't, we're just going to start slaughtering you for being non-compliant. And then we're going to take your planet for all its resources. So, thanks. It's like, yeah, this could be a drama. This could be a horror movie. And there are some other, like, drama elements to it. One of the pilots falls in love with one of the Zillions, who is at first using him, but then falls in love with him. And because she's going against the plan, she ends up getting killed by the other Zillions, but is still able to, try to help her man escape. The other pilot's sister is seeing this inventor, and that pilot, what is the name? I think it's Glenn, was the American pilot. And, especially after watching Kong v. Godzilla, which was in English, or it seemed like it was a bunch of Japanese actors dubbed over in English, seeing like a clear like Western dude being dubbed over in Japanese was kind of funny. Him, Namikawa, I believe, was the name of his Zillion girlfriend. Then the inventor was named Tetsuo. And while I never did it out loud, like the first time I saw his name, my brain just went, Tetsuo! I was like, please tell me the guy's name is Kaneda. It's Kazuo. It's kind of close. So Kazuo is the other pilot, and I believe Haruno is the name of his sister. So Kazuo is very protective of Haruno. He's like, I don't think that Tetsuo is good enough for her. I want her to have a stable relationship. I know she loves him. I don't care that she loves him. I need her to be stable rather than her to be happy. Which sounds really fucked up when you say it out loud, but it comes clear. It feels clear that let me try to do that again. To me, it seemed clear that it wasn't malicious. He's genuinely concerned for his sister and wants the best for her. He doesn't think that's Tetsuo. Tetsuo, though, he has this invention, which is like this really loud, obnoxious alarm. And it turns out that the Zillions' one weakness is sound waves, and the way that they control the kaiju are like through some kind of waves. So they're able to use that to beat them. So Tetsuo ends up being a hero, and he's able to be with Haruno. So that works out. They're able to defeat the Zillions by using their weakness to sound waves, and it causes their spaceships to explode, and it's really funny. And they're able to free the kaiju of their reign, and then Godzilla and Rodan team up and start beating the shit out of King Ghidorah, and like that's how the movie ends. And yeah, this whole thing about you go to space, you go to another planet, you exchange resources, and it turns out they were playing you the entire time. Now they're trying to conquer the planet, and there's this one is torn because she's part of this other planet, but she actually likes Earth, has fallen in love with someone, and then this, it's not a love triangle, because Kazuo is not interested in his own sister, but, like, all this shit going on, I was like, there could be a genuinely interesting drama here, and I'll be honest, I actually liked the human characters in this movie. I was like, no, this is actually good, and I think this is actually interesting. If you just replace the kaiju with, like, nukes, this would be a very intense movie. Like, holy shit. But they didn't. They were still kaiju, which means we got kaiju fighting. First off, Godzilla goes to space. And my buddy told me, he's like, this is the only movie where Godzilla actually goes to space. And, like, when they're being left behind on Planet X, Godzilla and Rodan are both like, what the fuck, dude? Like, come on. It's so funny. The fetal position pose that he's in is really funny. When he and Rodan are fighting King Ghidorah in space, they're throwing rocks. That's what they did last time. And I don't know what's so funny to me about like a big monster throwing rocks at another monster. It cracks me up. Godzilla does this flying body slam. He just runs, body slams King Ghidorah at one point. I was laughing so hard. I was like, Clay, we have to rewind this. I have to see that shit again. So I saw the body slam again. In the second fight, there's a literal flying body slam where Rodan picks up Godzilla, flies to Ghidorah, they tackle him, and then they fucking roll off a mountain. This is the movie where Godzilla does the dance, where after, like, the tackle, and Ghidorah flies off, Godzilla's like, yeah! dancing, and it's so goofy, and it's great. I feel like this is so Three-Headed Monster is the first time Godzilla was portrayed positively. It is the first time where Godzilla is a hero in the movie. But given that in most of the movie he was fighting Rodan and causing more destruction and was very unwilling to help fight Ghidorah at first, he's definitely more of an anti-hero. Here it's like, no, Godzilla, you are actively supposed to be rooting for Godzilla the entire time. Him being left behind is like, yeah, like, that's shitty. You took this creature out of his home and then said, fuck you to him. Like, that's not okay. You can't do Goji like that. You know, like, when he's beating the shit out of Ghidorah, he does this goofy-ass jig, and it makes him a lot more endearing. It's just a great time. Oh, that's right. During the second fight, after they've been freed of the sound waves and they're kind of like throwing hands for a bit, Godzilla's literally throwing hands. Like he's fucking jabbing. He's like moving like he's a fucking boxer. He's doing boxer footwork. I got a great laugh at it. Like I said, Godzilla in this movie is really funny. It's in a different way than he was in Mothra versus Godzilla. In that it was funny because it seemed like Godzilla just woke up and was hungover and didn't know what the fuck was going on anymore. Like he tries to kick Mothra and he just falls because he misses her. This is funny, but he's jobbing way too hard. Here he's funny and he's living his best life. Like he's having a good day. Then he gets really pissed because he's left behind, but then he gets to go back home, destroy some shit, not be the villain for destroying shit because he wasn't his own self, and then gets to beat the shit out of King Ghidorah. There's some other observations for the movie. The music that played like during the opening sequence, I believe it was playing during the climax too. It sounded like this parade music. I liked it a lot. It was like this very triumphant theme. I was telling Clay, I was like, this sounds like the kind of music that a dictator plays during a parade to just celebrate like how great they are. Like, I don't know. I kind of really fucked with it. When they're going to Planet X, they pass Jupiter and it's like this fucking cardboard cutout of the planet Jupiter. I laughed pretty hard at that. I liked that. There's this scene when the Zillions attack where, you know, they're like shooting beams and lasers and having like Rodan make hurricanes and whatnot. There's this moment of a roof and like all the shingles on the roof are just getting peeled off by the wind, and that was really cool. They shoot a giant satellite with some kind of beam or ray, and then it just like crumples and folds because it was melted. That actually looked cool as hell. So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. It is, to me, the monster fighting in Three-Headed Monster is way better. Having Mothra helps because Mothra's just not in this movie. The fights with Godzilla and Rodan are so funny and entertaining in that movie. Like, there's literally scenes where I'm like, this looks like someone picked up two action figures, started banging them against each other. This movie's great. And I remember liking the human aspect fine in Three-Headed Monster compared to Astro-Monster, where I feel like the fighting's not quite as good, but there's a lot of just all the spittle go flying. It's not quite as good, but it's very fun. I think it's going to be very memorable going forward, especially the fucking dance. I don't know if he ever does that again. I'm just glad he did it once. But the human characters honestly really pulled their weight in this movie, and I appreciated that a lot. So, yeah, Godzilla 6, really good.